to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
And good morning. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM. It is Friday. It is February the 10th. And we've had some weather, and it's pretty messy out there. So be careful if you are driving. But we'll try and keep you company either way. If you are in your car, if you are at home, either way, we'll keep each other company this morning. We're on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio, cklu.ca online. We're streaming. You just click on the Radio Player Canada app, and you can stream us. You could also download that same Radio Player Canada app. Take us with you. Listen to us anytime, anywhere on your favorite device. Also, streaming live on facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. Thank you for all the moderators from Facebook and YouTube. You have the incredible job to do to make sure that the community standards on your platforms are adhered to. And so my hat is off to you and your job. And we thank you very much, not only for what you do, but for your platforms, because it makes it possible for people like us to be able to have a show. And speaking of having a show, if you want to have your own show on CKLU, it is your campus and community radio station. You just have to email gm@cklu.ca with your radio show idea. It'll go to Rob. He'll contact you back. You guys will have a meeting, discuss whether you need a few tweaks or just discuss the idea and make it happen. It's a volunteer radio station mainly, and run by volunteers, and volunteer hosts host their shows on the station. Make sure to support CKLU in any way that you can, not only by volunteering, but also monetarily. Also, they have merch, so you can go there, get a CKLU shirt, CKLU mug, and all that jazz. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow this page if you are on social media. Also, make sure to comment, because this is your show on your station. We'll make sure to get all of the comments, as many as possible, on the air. We will post them on the screen. We'll also try and mention them so that way people on the radio can know what you are all saying. So make sure to chime in whenever you have something that you wanted to say to what we're talking about. We're going to be talking about the weather that we've been having, that we're still having, a little bit of sports. Got some really great sports action with the Wolves and the Five this weekend. And then also, as usual, a lot of headlines, a lot of issues going on in Greater Sudbury, and we'll cover those. We'll have your thoughts on those when we return right after the weather. And Sudbury Weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. For all things weather, visit sudburyweather.ca. Here you go. -3 degrees currently. It feels like -10, and it is incredibly dangerous if you're driving. So make sure to take precautions. Today, periods of snow, amount of 2 to 4 centimeters still to accumulate. Wind northwest 20 kilometers, gusting to 40, becoming light near noon. Wind becoming northwest 20 this afternoon. Temperature falling to -8 in the afternoon. Wind chill -9 this morning, but -14 later in the day. Tonight, clearing late this evening. And low will be -15. The wind chill -14 in the evening, but -20 overnight. A little cooler. And then Saturday, mix of sun and cloud. Wind becoming southwest 40 kilometers, gusting to 70. So it'll be windy tomorrow. In the morning, it'll be a high of -1, wind chill -21. And then later in the day, -9 in the afternoon. And so with that mix of sun and cloud tomorrow comes a lot of wind and a very cold wind chill. Currently, like we said, it is -3, feels like -10, but tomorrow the high is -1. Again, a lot. There's a wind chill though. It'll feel a lot cooler than that. Sunday, cloudy, -1. Monday, cloudy, 0. Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud and high of 2. Wednesday, 0. 60% chance of snow. And Thursday, getting a little cooler, or predicted to be so. High of -6, periods of snow. That's for Thursday, February 16th. So we're already forecasting to a little beyond the middle of February. I don't know where the time is going. And this winter, although we've had, including last night and this morning, some really messy periods of snow, has been relatively moderate, very moderate for as far as winter goes in Sudbury. So thankful in some ways. I know a lot of ice fishermen are very disappointed, but yeah, you get that winter every once in a while. And that is your weather. A little look at the satellite before we head into sports, though. As you can see, all the cloud activity. If you're on the radio, take my word for it, lots of cloud over northern Ontario. And you can see that clearing coming in from the west, just west of Lake Superior at the moment, but by tomorrow should be here as well for a mix of sun and cloud. That is your weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with a little bit of sports right after this. All right, Sudbury Sports brought to you by Randy Pascal. He is that Sudbury Sports guy, and his website is sudburysports.com. So if you want anything that is, our kind of sports that we have in Sudbury, all the way from the OHL, the NBL, the Spartans, the junior Spartans, all the way on down to school sports, whether that's varsity or high school, you name it. Curling, volleyball, basketball, you name it. Randy Pascal covers that on sudburysports.com. Make sure to visit it when you want a sports update. Tonight, the Wolves are in action against the Sarnia Sting. And the Sarnia Sting are making their first and only visit to our town tonight. The Sting are led by Toronto Maple Leafs prospect Ty Voigt, who currently sits at 71 points in the season. The Sting are second in the West, only trailing the Windsor Spitfires. So tonight's game is also Friends Night at the Sudbury Arena. Make sure to grab your closest friends and come down to the game. That's what I'm doing. In Friends fashion, in Friends fashion. And then they mention all the members of Friends on this show, Friends. Anyways, I'm not going to do that. Anyways, to take advantage of an offer where you get, I don't know what this is. In Friends fashion, grab your Rachel, Monica, Phoebe, Ross, Chandler, and Joey to purchase a special 6-pack. Okay, 6-pack of tickets for only $87. Now I get it. So, you can get 6 tickets for $87. So to take advantage of the offer, you'll first select your 6 adult seats at greatersudbury.ca/tickets and edit the price type by using the edit pen icon to select Wolves Promotion 6-pack to receive this offer on all 6 tickets, limited to end zone seating only. Tickets on sale now for tonight's game at greatersudbury.ca/tickets and at the Sudbury Arena box office. And I got to tell you that the games have been filling up. So, you want to get your tickets a little bit earlier these days, because I've really noticed, it's very noticeable, the amount of people going to Wolves games in particular. And I do foresee the day when you may not be able to get a ticket. We might not be there now, but in order to get a 6-pack like this and make sure that all your friends are sitting side by each, I would think for sure you want to get there earlier than later and get your tickets. So that's tonight's game against the Sarnia Sting. And then tomorrow they're on the road against the Mississauga Steelheads. And then on Sunday, Oshawa Generals. You can catch both those games right here on CKLU 96.7 FM or online at cklu.ca. And also this Sunday is the Sudbury 5. They are playing Newfoundland, I believe, here at the arena. But before that, well, it's going to be, first of all, like a Super Bowl Sunday, obviously, right? So they want to make this kind of Super Bowl-ish, so it's a tailgate party. You can come ahead of the game for the pre-game party. They'll have $7 beers between 2 and 3 at the bar located on the court. Fun games will also be set up near the court for fans to play while they're waiting for the game to happen. Also be fun football activities for fans, win great prizes, halftime skills competition, a local high school with local high school football players. And then following the game, all fans are invited to meet the 5 for a team autograph session. Also, at the New Sudbury Shopping Center on Saturday, they will be meeting fans right outside of the Greater Sudbury Sports location. And so you can get an autograph there, take pictures and all that as well. And check out Greater Sudbury Sports in the mall. They'll be there on select players, will be there between 3 and 4 for autographs. I believe that's on Saturday. They just say prior to Sunday's Super Bowl afternoon meetup. It didn't say Saturday anywhere though, but I do believe it is Saturday. But you can just check it on the5.ca yourself. So that is Sudbury Sports, brought to you by SudburySports.com. That's Randy Pascal. He's the Sudbury Sports guy. SudburySports.com is his website for all things sports. Visit SudburySports.com. We'll be back with some headlines, your comments, and all that right after this. All right. And one thing I was going to mention on our weather segment, but we're going to talk about it now, is that school buses are running today. However, they're only going down they're not going down side streets, so you have to meet them. You have to get your buses at the winter stops. Students will instead need to catch buses at winter stops. They're not running on some of the side roads this morning. I'm not sure how you would know which ones are, if it's not coming on your side road or not, but they've announced the Sudbury Student Services Consortium has announced that buses will not be traveling down some side roads this morning. Students residing in the usual rural roads will need to meet the buses at their usual winter stops. The consortium has also provided some specific information for a couple of areas. So many side roads in the Massey and Espanola regions are causing bus drivers issues this morning. And yes, the drive was very treacherous. Roads are not good this morning at all. And buses will be meeting parents at central locations. In terms of Route V904, students residing in the Salter Beck line need to meet the bus at Imperial and Dublin. Students residing in Lacloche Lake Road, Buck Miller Road, and Temperance Valley Road must meet the bus at Lee Valley Road and Lacloche Road. So that's in Espanola area in particular. Students residing on Cutler Lake Road need to meet the bus at Lee Valley Road and Cutler Lake Road. So anyone who's listening to the show who are from that area, that is information that you would need to know if you got some little ones who are taking the bus today. So school buses, some school buses are not going down some side roads, and you should know if you are in those areas. One thing sports related before we head on, we talked about this yesterday, getting to it. So Dario Zulich with the Sudbury Wolves Sports and Entertainment Group launches a new charity to benefit minor sports and other causes in Sudbury. And it's called Play It Forward Corporation. It'll benefit sports organizations and other organizations. SW Sports and Entertainment has launched the new nonprofit charity. And it aims to receive and maintain funds for charitable organizations, promote public health through physical fitness programs and recreational facilities, and alleviate poverty by increasing access to physical activity for low-income youth and families, the organization said in a press release on Wednesday. Dario said, it's very important for our organization to give back to the community in many different ways, especially as our organization continues to expand. The charity will have a special focus on growing grassroots sports here in Greater Sudbury, while also supporting a number of other local charity initiatives. And I just realized I had to get it on the comments. And I have a few people here chiming in. So Judy, yes, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Cliff, good morning. Hope you're all staying dry and safe. Good morning, Diane. Bon matin. And Julia is sharing a link here for bus info. So if anyone wants up-to-date bus info, you just click on that link. Thank you very much, Julia, for sharing that. So that's the website. Yeah, definitely to check out each morning. Yeah, if you have any questions. Thank you for sharing that for sure. Very valuable if you're a parent who has a child who is taking the bus, no doubt. And speaking of charitable actions by business owners in this community, Kingsway, Greek restaurant owner of the Apollo restaurant, supports HSN, McCullough Hospice. And they have their own olive oil there. And they sell them for $20 a bottle. And we bought one, and it's very good. And I guess they're using some of the proceeds from that to support the hospice. So it lent its support to Health Sciences North at the Maison McCullough Hospice in January. The popular Greek restaurant located on the Kingsway made a $2,500 donation to Greater Sudbury's only palliative care facility, Maison McCullough Hospice, last month. The restaurant also operates Tula's Market, named after the owner, where shoppers can purchase family-made olive oil, among other tasty goodies. Through the sale of the family's olive oil, Apollo made $5,000 donation to Health Sciences North Foundation, which raises funds to support medical equipment purchases, capital projects, and research at Health Sciences North. In other charitable restaurant news, in January, Sudbury Wolves players donned aprons and picked up receipt pads at Overtime Sports Bar and Grill to raise funds for inner city home of Sudbury. So many, many good things going on here in this city to help out. And if you do love olive oil and you use olive oil, make sure to check in at Apollo Restaurant on the Kingsway and pick up a bottle for $20. You can't go wrong. It's family owned, family made, all the way from Greece. So again, you just can't go wrong. And there's, you can't go wrong here. Imagine this. So you can order a singing Valentine from Sudbury's Nickel Sound. You know, flowers are good. Chocolates, you know, everyone loves chocolates. But if you want to hit a home run this Valentine's and you really want to show that special someone something over the top, order a singing Valentine from Sudbury's Nickel City and Sound. Nickel City and Sound, Greater Sudbury's award-winning women's barbershop chorus will sing to your Valentine either in person or virtually. That's pretty awesome. Why not surprise that special someone with a gift of a song, card, and flowers? The cost of an in-person visit in this city is $40 for one song and $5 for the second. So for $45, you get 2 songs. Included are a card and carnation from Rosary Florist. So it all comes in a package: card, flower, and songs. That's pretty amazing for $45. So to book a song, send an email to bookus@nickelcitysound.ca. bookus@nickelcitysound.ca, or call 705-566-8176, 566-8176. Song orders have to be placed by 8 p.m. on Friday the 13th. I guess we got 2 Friday the 13th in a row this month, or last month and this month. Incredible. So yeah, they have to be placed by next Friday. What does it say? 8 p.m. February 13th. Sorry, it's not Friday the 13th. It's February the 13th. And it's not Friday. So there you go. I think it's probably like Monday. Anyways, the day before Valentine's Day. And I guess yesterday I was kind of making fun at some spelling mistakes in some of our local stories. Making fun is one thing, but just it was funny. It sounded funny a little bit, and I was laughing and saying I easily can point out, I'm probably a better editor of other people's work than myself. And anyways, so then yesterday it was an epic fail launching on CKLU. We had issues. My laptop wasn't plugged in, and so the sound wasn't coming out, and I had to play the intro, and then it started doubling up because I was clicking it more than once. It was an epic fail. But anyways, that was on the radio. We were able to salvage it on live streaming. So get your orders in for your Nickel City Sound singing telegram, if you will, for Valentine's Day before 8 p.m. on February 13th. We'll come back to this story a little bit later, but yesterday was an anniversary of an interesting, sad thing that happened in Coniston, where a bus was hit by a train. And exactly 70 years ago yesterday, on the morning of February 9th, 1951, between 8 and 8:15 a.m., a local bus carrying residents and smelter workers returning from shift was struck at this very crossing at westbound CPR train, which was running late, having been expected in at 7 a.m. On this particular morning, the temperature had dipped to 48 degrees below zero Fahrenheit, which caused the outside air to be hazy and visibility to be extremely poor. Because of the extreme cold, more passengers than usual were crowded into the bus. Its windows were frosted and external sounds were muffled by a din of conversation within the bus. No one on board heard, saw, or suspected the westbound CPR train until it was too late. The train, which had just passed the Coniston CP station, not 75 yards away, had just picked up speed and arrived at the crossing as the bus was straddling the tracks. The terrible crash that resulted from the impact left 9 dead and 30 others injured. All of the men who were killed were from the same graveyard shift at the Coniston smelter. We'll always remember. Now, my electrician said that he was on this bus when it was hit. It was either this bus or another bus that was hit, but he said there were school children on the bus as well. So I was picturing a school bus being hit until I read this story last night. But this could have been the very bus he was on. He was a young child at the time. I believe he's in his 80s now, and was going to school. And remarkably enough, the kids that were going to school that were on this bus went to school after this accident. Like they went to school after seeing people perishing and then the traumatic experience of getting hit by a train at excessive speeds. This bus launched 30 feet from where it was hit. It was such a powerful impact. And he said the kids who were on the bus went to school for a full day of school after it. It just shows how different the times are these days. Now, whether it was this crash or it was one similar, he said people were killed, and it was Coniston. I remember him telling me, so I'm sure it was this very bus crash. So Cliff was saying he brought home some prime rib last night from Torini's and a good bottle of wine for Valentine's. There you go. Nothing like prime rib and wine for Valentine's. And a singing telegram would go a long way too, I think, with that. This is making the news, obviously. Cecil Facer, as we all know, if you're from Sudbury for any period of time, you've known that as the Youth Detention Center. It's not going to be that anymore as of 2 years from now. They're changing its use and what it's for. So Youth Center in Sudbury to close, will become new institution for adult women. Staff of Cecil Facer Youth Center in Sudbury learned this week that the 16-bed facility will close in 2 years. The news was revealed in a release from OPSU, a union that represents about 180,000 people here in Ontario. The Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services told the union that the grounds of Cecil Facer will be used to build a 50-bed institution for adult women. The news is devastating for the staff of the facility, the union said, who have dedicated their careers to helping young people in conflict with the law. It will also force Sudbury area youth in custody to move hours away from their families and communities. So an OPSU co-chair said, and this is Peter Harding, this is yet another short-sighted closure of a facility for youth who need specialized help in their own communities. So he's the co-chair of the Youth Justice Ministry Employee Relations Committee and Youth Services Officer, is quoted as saying in the release, "It's too late to reverse this bad decision. Young people shouldn't be placed in custody hours away from their families. Our members who work with these kids every day know that the community and family support is crucial for their well-being." So I guess this is just, goes in line with the services that we receive these days. We seem to be getting less and less and paying more and more. And they're kind of getting centralized. Everything's getting centralized. And and I do agree with this particular representative. Our members who work with these kids, I already said that. Now our members have to decide whether to relocate hours away to keep working with youth or change careers and work with adults, said Harding. It's an agonizing decision and so unnecessary. You don't have to move young people in custody or the staff who work with them hours away from their community. The land for Cecil Facer was donated to the province by Judge Cecil Facer and his family, who wanted the land to be used to support youth in conflict with the law. So, I guess, against the wishes of the person donating the land. Imagine you donate land because you have a particular soft spot for an issue, and then years and years and years later, just someone says, "Well, yeah, I know you donated it to us and free of charge and all this, and you wanted it to be used for that, but we're just going to change it." Facer presided over the Sudbury Juvenile and Family Court from 1945 to 1964. We support the employer's effort to provide more services for women in custody, but not at the expense of northern youth who require services in their own communities. And how could you not agree with that sentiment? Now, if they were making, let's say, sectioning it off or making a different building on the same property, let's say they didn't need the size of the building anymore, and they did have a need for, particularly for women, I could see that. But But why totally repurpose the land when it was donated for the very purpose the person who donates it wants it used for that, first of all? And like I said, why don't we just have another facility locally? Why do they have to ship them off to other facilities? It would be good to hear the other side of that. Of course, we do not have that at this time. It's sad either way. And speaking of sad, just released, this is the headline, Northern Ontario CTV. Just released on drug charges, suspect in Sudbury arrested an hour later with more drug charges. So this is the, I guess, softer, gentler approach of our legal system, the catch and release kind of idea, to not have a backlog, I guess, is one of the arguments. A 20-year-old facing drug charges in the Sudbury area apparently didn't get the message when they were released from police custody this week. Want more details on that. But first, I guess Cliff is chiming in here. No different than the city selling off donated land. The hospital is located on an out-of-town business that clearly couldn't care less about the property. There you go. It is all donated land. All that Science North, Health Sciences North, Laurentian University, all that was donated land in the first place. They never paid for that. It is kind of criminal in a lot of ways when you think of, they get donated land and then a lot of money is being misused from taxpayers, from the organizations that are on that land. So back to the story about the 20-year-old who was arrested for drugs and then hours later after being released was arrested for drugs again. So the 20-year-old facing drug charges in the Sudbury area clearly didn't get the message when they were released from police custody this week. Less than an hour after being freed on bail, February 7th, they were found in a taxi with a person they were not supposed to have contact with as part of the release conditions. Ontario Police, Provincial Police stopped the taxi around 4:43 on Highway 17 in Walden for a traffic violation. Wow, a taxi with a traffic violation? During the investigation, police recognized two of the passengers from a drug-related incident that occurred February 6th, police said in the news release. The one passenger had been released following a bail hearing at approximately 4 p.m. A search of the suspects uncovered 87 grams of suspected fentanyl, 35 grams of suspected methamphetamine, 20 grams of suspected cocaine, and approximately 0.5 grams of suspected heroin. The 20-year-old from North York, along with the 25-year-old from Manitoulin Island, were charged with violating release conditions and various drug trafficking charges. As a result of the investigation, 2 people were arrested and charged. Both appeared in bail court February 8th, but this time were remanded into custody. So they're not out selling or doing or holding more drugs at the moment. What a novel idea that is. Okay, so good morning, Denise. Thanks for being with us this morning. Hope you're having a good day. It's very messy out there. It's a crazy day today. It's going to get better as far as I can see with the, the predictions, the forecast. So here's a story, a sad event in Turkey. That terrible, we got bad weather here, but at least it's not like Turkey. Did you see the news there with the pictures and the video? It's just decimation. It's terrible. Many lives, 30,000 at least lives lost as far as estimates are concerned at the moment. Former Syrian refugee in Sudbury frustrated as earthquake aftermath continues to unfold. Speaking to CTV News, says, "I'm still sad. My wife cry and children feel. I'm still sad. My wife cry. My children feel. And this is the first shock of my life. And this one is big. a big one, and after 12-year war. So they had a 12-year war, and now they get a decimating earthquake on top of it. And here's the gentleman, Hussein Kouarkoua. I can't not pronounce his last name, unfortunately. He says he waited for 2 days before he heard the news of his brother and sister who still live in Syria, So as rescue crews continue to search for survivors beneath piles of rubble in the two countries, he says that his family have been watching and waiting for news from family as the crisis unfolds. So far, the death toll at this time of this story was 16,000. It's been estimated at 30,000 more recently, anyways, as of last night. He also said he was relieved to hear from both his brother and sister who still live in Syria. He added that the situation has been particularly difficult for his brother who has 8 children. Terrible stuff. A lot of things going on around the world. And back in Canada, story that we're going to follow up on here. We talked about it yesterday. Julie says, and Syria is still under severe sanctions with the West, which makes it difficult to get supplies on top of what they are going through as well. So yeah, no, you're right. It's just a terrible situation there. And our thoughts, prayers, and maybe even if there's certain things like Red Cross that we donate to can go towards helping the victims and people that are affected by that terrible event. Here's the headline. Teen who can't go to school for two genders view is schooling the woke instead. We talked about this yesterday, right? This student. So instead of getting ready for school, Josh Alexander was getting ready for something else. Seems his arrest for going back to St. Joseph's Catholic High School after he was suspended for his belief that there are only two genders has gone international. The British press are on it, and he was slated to appear on Fox News last night. The contrasting standards were obvious Wednesday when I worked on the story of how a male teacher at Oakville High School who identifies and dresses as a woman was back at work. The teacher, Kayla Lemieux, dressing with a Z-cup, prosthetic breasts, and a blonde wig, is welcomed in the school, but a kid in the same province who has a belief that there are only male and female genders is charged with a non-criminal offense of trespassing. Alexander sees the irony in this as well. There's actually several memes going around on the internet showing me getting arrested, and then it shows the Oakville teacher standing there, and they are all allowed in the school, and I am not. It's pretty ridiculous that they're allowed to have an influential role, and I am not allowed to go there just simply to get an education. So here's an example of one of the memes there. With his education in limbo, he wants to go back to school. I'm focusing on getting my diploma. That is proving to be difficult, he said, much like the Ontario College of Psychologists that are doing with Jordan Peterson, and the system would prefer Alexander think more in lines with the approved narrative. I would have to basically agree to a multitude of conditions that are contrary to my religious beliefs, Alexander said, on what he would have to do to return. I'd basically have to recognize that anybody can identify as they wish, and anybody else must address them in that manner. With his fellow trans students in the class, I wouldn't be allowed to speak to them or be in their classes as one of the conditions to come back to school. And so he wouldn't accept those conditions. So his goal isn't to preach hate at anybody, I'm just a student who wants to go to school, but I'm not going to compromise my religious beliefs. Describing himself as a born-again Christian, Alexander said never has had anything personally against any of his trans fellow classmates in the class, and there's been no incident between them. The only time I would ever interact with them is in class and during class discussion, never outside of class. My issue was never with any individual trans student. I have sympathy for them. My issue is with my education or the education system that pushes it and indoctrinates impressionable minds. Alexander believed he would freely express his views in a class discussion last November, but he was mistaken. And that's the issue I kind of have, is all-inclusive. What does that mean? What does all-inclusive mean? If everybody is supposed to be welcomed and we're supposed to be open to all ideas, if somebody has ideas like Joseph's, he's not welcome. So are we indeed all-inclusive? So could we indeed be a society where one person can say, I believe there's only two genders, a male and a female, and that if you want to transition to something else, that's your right to do it, but you also should give me the right to believe what I want to believe as well, and then everyone's happy and goes along their way, right? So why should I then? So it just turns the pendulum all the way. So it used to be people who only believed in that there are just boys and girls, male and female, and then a new kind of theory came through the university system and then into our society that there are multiple sexes, different than what biology shows, and that is, as long as we feel a certain way, that then affects our gender, and that's fine. Like, it's fine to have theories, and theories can even be brought to many levels. Books are written on theories. People are taught theories in school, and then it's a theory. So there's difference between facts and theories, and that's still a theory. So if someone has their own theory, shouldn't they be welcomed in this all-inclusive, all-embracing, non-bullying world that we're in? Or does it seem like the pendulum swung, and unless you agree with one particular ideology, then you're not included, you're not welcomed, you're not embraced, and so you're bullied, and you're arrested, and you're canceled. And so I don't understand. I think it's a little bit hypocritical to have an all-inclusive wording in society when it's not all-inclusive. Say it's somewhat inclusive. It's the new inclusive or something. Like, it's inclusive to a point. It's semi-inclusive. It's the new belief in who we are as a people. And if you don't believe that, so call it something else, because it's definitely not inclusive. Inclusive means anybody is welcome. And we've obviously shown that everybody is not welcome. Okay, now I've said enough on that. I think I repeated myself 13 times. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to read this entire thing, and so I apologize ahead of time, Belinda. My eyesight is terrible this morning, worse than ever. Very perplexed this morning after attending the town hall meeting in Isilda last night. I was wondering how that went last night with the mayor. When the subject of the Sudbury's participation in the smart cities was brought up, he claimed he knew nothing about it. Even though he has a coordinator that is handling this specific agenda. Very disconcerting. I'm surprised I was able to read that. But anyways, thank you very much for that. And yes, I was wondering how that meeting went last night. I got a few messages. saying that the mayor was going to be in Azilda for a town hall, and that was going to be brought up about the smart cities. And so our mayor says that he has no knowledge of this particular program that Sudbury obviously has signed up for. And if someone's not aware of it, it's basically that in order to combat climate change, that the city is divided into sectors, and you're only allowed to go 15 minutes away from your home and come back. And so that way you can keep your carbon footprint down. And it'll also help with electric cars too, because you can't really travel very far with an electric car, especially in the north. There's not enough charging stations, and with the cold, it'll take your battery down way too quick. And so one of the solutions to this is that we just kind of go 15 minutes away from our house. So we've signed up. We're going to be participating in this program, but our mayor said that he knew nothing of it. And according to Belinda, we even have a coordinator that's over it, that's employed by the city. Julia says she supports the student. Getting back to the story we were talking about, for sure, she supports the student who believes that there's only two genders, male and female. However, religion isn't required to know that the human being are either male and female. And can't change sex. So religion, I guess, I guess you'd have to define religion first of all. And he's a born again, so let's just take, and I'm not sure exactly where we're going here. So you support the student, however, religion isn't required to know that human beings are either male or female and can change sex. And I guess that's true, but if you are, let's say, a Christian or you're the Jewish faith or Muslim, in the Old Testament, it said that God made man male and female. So that is a religious text that has been part of their religions for many, many, many years. And male and female made they him kind of thing. So there is scriptural foundations for that belief. If you are a Christian, Muslim, a Jew, any other religions that use the Old Testament as part of their canon, so that is part of their religion, that there's male and female that God made. And no other genders were mentioned in that. So I guess if you're wondering where that came from, that's where it came from. Good morning, Tracy. Thank you. Have a great day and stay safe. You're running late and you'll be back to watch it later today. Yes. Have a great day. Stay safe. Drive safe if you're driving. It's crazy, crazy roads out there. And yeah, so this idea of religious beliefs, it's interesting because what we believe is kind of a religious belief. So if you believe there's multiple genders, it's a belief. It's a belief structure. It comes into the realm of religious. It's whatever you buy into, that you base your morals and values and ethics on, and you live your life by. It's basically like a religious. You ever hear like he religiously does that? Like he's up at 5 a.m. religiously every day. So there is that as well. And then there's the dogmatic religion that has it has tenets, it has commandments that religion lives by. They like the Council in Nicaea by the Catholic Church. Constantine back in the day was killing Christians one day, had a vision of him going into battle with a cross, and the next day he was killing you if you weren't a Christian, and he made everyone be Christian. And so religion can have a little bit of a weird historical aspect to it as well. But by and large, then they made a council and they sat together and said, hey, what do we believe now? Like how can we put this on paper? And so a religion is kind of like that as well. It's like a belief structure, how we're going to run things. What do we do? Policies, procedures. It's a little bit like a business, but there's also the belief structure. What do we actually believe? And they put it on paper, and that's your religion. And you go there, there's a cultural aspect of it, but you can actually look into each religion and what they actually put on paper of what they actually believe. Now, born again is kind of, as Joseph claimed that he was, there's many different religions within that category. And so many different beliefs are in there, but mainly the same. They believe in the Bible, and they believe in Jesus and what he stands for. So Julia says, sex is observable and immutable. It's in every cell of our body. Cool. Yeah, well, interesting. I mean, yeah, that could be the case. I'm not an expert on that. But I'll give you that for sure, Julia, and thanks for sharing that with us. So back to Joseph and what he was talking about. He said he shared the opinion to the entire class that he believed there's just biologically speaking anyways, if you look at anatomy, let's say, like there's very rare cases. I had a daughter who was one of these cases, actually. She's passed away. Unfortunately, she had other conditions along with this, but there was cross-gender anatomy there, and it's very, very, very rare. The main, most people are born either with male or female anatomy, right? And so the other part in the cells and who we're attracted to later on and things like that, I'm just speaking anatomy based. So he didn't share the class opinion, and I didn't direct it toward anybody, he said. I would have assumed my fundamental freedoms were protected at my Catholic high school, especially when it has to do with religion, because it is a religious high school, but not apparently. He said things got worse when it got teachers encouraging and defending male breastfeeding, which I ultimately called pedophilia. Well, now it's getting a little bit more controversial. My comment is to suggest that this 16-year-old get the same opportunity and leeway the system would afford a teen killer. Educators can disagree with his views, but should never stop him from his right to an education over opinions he's legally permitted to hold. While Josh Alexander, probably calling him Joseph, his name's Josh, while Josh Alexander's education is halted, he's getting an education in a different kind that includes being threatened and handcuffed by police for essentially expressing an opinion. And again, opinions are definitely welcome on this show, and I'll do my best, and hopefully we're respectful, and I'm respectful, and if I ever come across as being anything other than that, I only mean to be very respectful, because today's day and age can be very hard to speak your opinion, and I believe we need to all be respectful of all opinions and not be canceling one or another. And if you just keep it that way, it's a fair playing field for everybody. And I learned something today that now I can look up, you know what I mean? Because I wasn't aware of that. And so this is cool. And so we should all be promoting the freedom to be able to share what we believe. And then we can also influence one another with our beliefs. And that's cool. If we have a belief that's going to enrich our lives, or it enriched our life, I want to share it. It's going to enrich your life. So with that, hopefully you have an enriching weekend. Make sure to listen to those that sometimes it's hard to listen to, and maybe they'll give us a chance to listen to us. Have a great weekend. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily. We'll be back same time, same place on Monday on CKLU and Facebook, YouTube Live. Have a great one, everyone. Happy weekend, and ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.